G'day guys, welcome back to the Rugby League Guru podcast. We've got something a little bit different today as Kat puts her elbow through the wall for the 15th time this week. Good times. We've got something a little bit different today. I put up on Instagram the other day asking for you guys to nominate the player from your club that you think that you've really appreciated this year. Might be a superstar that's done their job, might be a young kid that's come in and brained it, might just be a bench player that's only played 20 minutes, but has done it at a very, very high click. We ended up with about 200 or 300 comments on there, and myself and Kat, we've gone through the deep dive. We found 2 or 3 for each of them. We're going to have a look at these over the next 2 weeks. So the first clubs we're going to do today, the Roosters, the Eels, the Warriors, the Cowboys, the Raiders, the Titans, the Broncos, the Panthers, and the mighty West Tigers. We're going to go through them today. We're going to nominate, we're going to read out 2 that you guys have nominated, talk about them, and talk about any other guys from that club that we think deserve a bait. Now, today's episode is brought to you by our partners, Neds. Make sure you go download the Neds app for all your punting needs. There you can find the Rugby League Guru group. You can find my profile. You can follow along with my absolutely woeful bets. Fingers crossed the tide will turn, but I'm not going to lie to you. Probably not super confident. We've got a big same game multi coming for this Sunday. We've got Scotty Drinkwater, Valentine Holmes, and one of my first CBA loves, Ruben Cotter. So brace yourself for that. Introducing my 5'8", the king of sting, the master of disaster, Canada. Welcome.
I like that, master of
Not bad,
disaster. It's like turning my own clumsiness into a positive.
Huge positive, yeah. I wouldn't change it for the world.
I would change it, but that's fine. It is who I am.
One thing I would change, shout out to Kat, we brought some nice figurines a few weeks ago of NRL players, and Kat had Tommy Turbo on her desk because she loves him so much and appreciates him so much. How's Turbo going, Kat?
Oh no, I knew you'd get I've already had to talk about this once today, but let's just say Turbo's had better days. He's currently broken at the legs or at the foot. It's just a disaster, really, and a bad omen.
A shocking omen. For those listening on podcasts that aren't on YouTube, little Bambi on ice over there, Kat Haddad obviously knocked him over, hit him for 6, split him in half, as she tends to do. So I'll take you back to a funny story of Kat's day one here at the CBA Centre of Excellence. I tripped over a cord and she laughed at me and said, we should keep count of how many times we trip over. And I've sort of lost count, Kat, but I think I'm maybe on 3 at maximum. You might be into triple digits at the moment.
It's not even tripping over. Like, I just knock things all the time. I was that kid. I remember growing up, mum and dad just expecting things to get broken when I was around. So that I just feel like I never grew out of it, unfortunately.
I'm starting to get how mum and dad felt.
Yeah.
I'm starting to appreciate their
like
feelings.
when you leave me alone in the studio, you don't know what you're coming back to.
Never ever. It's unreal. It's great. It's just every day's a wild card.
But for the record, Latrell's doing just fine.
Latrell is doing just fine, and Latrell's doing okay, but we're going to start with Latrell's former club, Kat.
We are. Let's talk about the Roosters. We've had, as you said, there's 2 suggestions that we've put here. One from @HarryTass and one from @Obi-Wan Tanovi. I really like that username.
That's all time.
Do you want to say who they are?
Yeah, and speaking of the Roosters, shout out to my brother Josh of Roosters Jersey Flag fame. He actually wrote these down for us today.
What a
the old
legend.
pen and paper. I miss it, Kat.
I know. We were saying maybe we're showing our age a little bit, but I did use pen and paper in school. I'll be honest with you. And looking at that just makes me miss it, man.
I still remember when I was in year 12 and one of the boys brought in a laptop and I thought, what a fucking loser. What is he doing?
Like, talk about weak wrists.
Yeah, wild. All right, Roosters. Our first one comes from Harry Tass. That's Harry with a double R like most, but double Y. Very interesting. Harry Tass, he has suggested Terrell May. Now, I'm going to beat my own horn here for a second, Kat. Terrell May was one of my favourites from the early preseason. Told you all to start with him in Supercoach. One of the few things I got right, but he has been absolutely incredible this season. Went up against the Penrith Panthers last week, had a huge game there as well. He's come out and said that he's open to going to any other club on the face of the earth, apparently. He is one of the better front row forwards in our game right now, and depending on where he lands, honestly, could shift the momentum as far as premierships. I'm hearing there's a serious sniff he could end up at the Penrith Panthers with his brother, which, Kat, to put it lightly, is a terrifying thought.
It is a terrifying thought. In fact, I quite enjoyed seeing them play against each other the other day.
It's
that
good,
was quite
wasn't it?
cool, yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. Terrell May is a very good shout. I think he's the obvious one from the Roosters. Now, the other one from one of the great names of all time, Obi-Wan, he's nominated James Tedesco. Now, Teddy's obviously been pretty heavily criticised over the last year or two, Kat, and I think his form this year has been really good. Granted, it wasn't their greatest game last week. You're playing the Penrith Panthers, you almost throw that form guide out the window realistically. They're just too good.
Yeah.
But I think James Tedesco, he's been fantastic to start this season.
Yeah, I agree. I think we discussed this in our Jenga episodes and talking about who you and I thought were those key players in each side. And for me, a good game for Roosters is when Teddy's performing. So I think that says everything.
Yeah, for sure. James Tedesco and Terrell May, very good shouts from the Sydney Roosters. My personal pick, I would have gone for Terrell May there. He's the obvious one there. I think James Tedesco is a good shout. Outside of that, not a heap probably jumping out. Sandon Smith, the games that he plays, I've really liked. Connor Watson's been very good on return as well. But I think those two are probably the two most obvious ones. Dom Young, to be fair, your boy, you're a big fan of Dom Young. He's been doing great things.
Well, I was really excited for him because he was obviously a great player at the Knights, but I think as much as, I'll joke that I don't like the Roosters, they're a big club. There's a lot of sparkle when you arrive at a club like that, and I think it's very exciting for someone with his potential to be there. And I think if he's going to live that out, it's got to be at a club like the Roosters. So
a glamour club.
That's probably better than a sparkle club. But
I don't mind Sparkle Club.
Let's make Sparkle Club a thing.
Make Sparkle great again.
Make Sparkle great.
What's the next team, Catmandu?
Let's dive into the Eels. So we've got at RyeFitPT. He has suggested Bryce Cartwright.
Ooh, the Bryce is Cartwright. I love this one. Obviously out for a couple of weeks, we believe. I think it's a rib injury for Brycey boy. And you know what? I've just had a little sneak peek at the next name as well, which we'll talk about that soon. But both back rowers, and I think the coach deserves a lot of credit because the way that he manages to just bring journeyman footballers into this club and turn them into stars is unbelievable. Bryce Cartwright, no one wanted to touch Bryce with a 10-foot pole when he left the Gold Coast Titans. Arrives at the Parramatta Eels, turns into a gun. Isaiah Papali'i over at the Warriors, all this hype, didn't really see anything. Came to the Parramatta Eels. Brad Arthur turns him into a Dally M second row of the year. Sean Lane. Sean Lane bounced around that many clubs, it was not even funny. Manly, Warriors, all over the place, doing nothing. Arrives at the Parramatta Eels. He was in the conversation for a kangaroo jersey at the end of last year. Jermaine Hopgood, no one really wanted him except for me. He arrives at Parramatta, does very well. I'm the only one that's ever wanted him, and now everyone wants a piece, and I'm very jealous. Jermaine arrives, does great things. And our next man is also a back rower who's been a little bit of a journeyman, even though he's only been in the game for a short amount of time. This is his third club. Who have we got, Kat?
We've got Kelma Tuilagi. This was suggested by at Paracave Podcast.
Shout out to the Paracave Podcast. Go and check it out. Doing great things for you, Parramatta Eels fan, and just general interviews with a lot of people. So shout out to Troy, a very good man. And Kelma, he was at the Tigers, went to Manly. You've always been able to see the huge potential on Kelma. Just hasn't quite been able to put it together at a club. But, I mean, you'd be bold to bet against him at the Parramatta Eels. I think Brad Arthur gets the best out of him. Got an injury to Bryce Cartwright at the moment. Looks like Matto's going to shift into that role, but I wouldn't be surprised if Kelma's there on game day. I think he copped a hip drop on the weekend, which was a pretty ugly one. Shout out to Kelma, by the way, who ran out on the weekend. I don't know if this will mean anything to you, very niche stuff, but wearing that old jersey, there used to be a a player in the 2000s, Solomona, who had the same hair, same jersey. So it was unreal. Real little flashback there. But Kelma, a very, very good shout. And Bryce Cartwright, an absolute cracker as well. Trying to think of anyone else at Parramatta that could fit that build as well. Obviously, Hopgood's bid fantastic. Mitchy Moses out. I think Gutho's been really good to start the year. Despite a loss the other day and he missed that goal, I thought he was very impressive.
Yeah.
Will Pensini.
I think he's flown under the radar, but he's so consistent.
He's been so consistent from day one that I just think people underappreciate just how young he is and how good he is. Like, we always look at Suoli and we're like, oh my God, he's so young. Pensini's the same age.
Yeah.
And has locked down a spot. So credit to him. What team's next?
We got the Warriors. This is who my team's facing this weekend. And I really, really like Adam Cassidy, 24. He has said Rocco Berry. I like that.
Rocco Berry. Absolutely love this shout. We've been talking about Rocco for a couple of years now. His old man was actually an All Black cat. And when Peter O'Sullivan was the recruitment manager at the Wars a couple of years ago, he fought just hammer and tong to get Rocco Berry's signature. I know that Rugby Union was very, very keen to have him, and the Warriors managed to win that one. And this is also when the Warriors weren't up the Wars, the popular, exciting club. I was sort of struggling a little bit, and, obviously living out of a suitcase and whatnot, it was a very tough situation. They managed to lock down Rocco Berry, and I think you're starting to see the fruits of all that work that Peter O'Sullivan did a few years ago with guys like Rocco Berry. Very, very excited about him. I think he's starting to come into his own, starting to get a little bit more confident. You saw Adam Pompey come in on the weekend when Roger moved to centre, when Roger moved to fullback, and he was fantastic, but hasn't been able to knock Rocco Berry out of the sign. You've also got the young fella Ali, who hasn't been able to get him out of the team either. So I think Adam Cassidy, 24, suggested it, but I think there was a lot of Warriors fans that wanted Rocco Berry to get a bait. What's our other one there?
From IM_MB25, he said, which I think would be the other one that everyone was saying, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. And in brackets, we've got Mitch Barnett.
Yeah, so Roger the Dodger was suggested by IMMB25. I think Roger's been fantastic. Obviously playing centre, he's been dynamic, played fullback on the weekend and just absolutely lit it up. Was your Supercoach captain?
He was. And I think I beat you by about 10 points by doing that. But
no one asked you. I'm pretty salty, so...
welcome to the version of Guru that I get.
We'll get to beers and break-evens tomorrow, which for you guys watching will be yesterday. So a bit of time travelling for you there. But Roger the Dodger, I will say this, Cat, it was a very good Supercoach pick because he killed it. And I think it was probably the most, as far as performance matching Supercoach scores, it was a mismatch. He deserves so much more.
I do feel like some players just get handed points.
Ooh, spicy. Proceed.
This is also not a Supercoach episode.
This feels like a personal attack on potentially one Kalen Ponga. The opposing
I said
fullback.
no names. I said no names. You said names. Let's leave it at that.
But yeah, Roger, he was fantastic on the weekend. I'll be honest with you, the people that have messaged me like, he has to play fullback. It's like, did you not realise Roger was a good fullback before 3 days ago? He's always been a gun, but Chance, he's had the jersey before. I think Webby has picked Chance at fullback because it's sort of making a statement about what it is to be a Warrior, and that if you're the first in the door and you do a job, it's your jersey to lose. So I like that. You mentioned in brackets we had Mitchy Barnett. Once again, got my brother Josh to write this list down based on the suggestions by you guys. And look, he's a little bit slow, let's be honest here. So maybe he missed the Mitch Barnett suggestion by people. But if Mitch Barnett didn't get a bait by you guys, you're absolutely kidding yourselves. He has been flying this year. I've been so impressed with Mitchy Barnett. Kat, I reckon he could be a little Origin smoky.
I want you to do your Origin predictions at some stage.
My 1 to 17.
I want your 1 to 17. If you were Maguire, who's on your side? It'd go off.
Yeah, we'll have to do that soon.
Yeah.
It's so hard to do, but we will do it soon.
Yeah.
All right, so the Wars, Rocco Berry, Roger, Tuivasa-Sheck and Mitchy Barnett. Kempy once called him Bitch Marnett, which I thought was hilarious. Let's move to the next team. Kat, what do we got?
We've got the Cowboys. Now, I feel like you are a low-key Cowboy lover, so you'll just be enjoying this.
Yeah, I've got a lot of Cowboys in my draft team this year, so they're pretty much my second team. We're actually got invited out to do some...
What do you mean second team?
Well, because rugby league's my first team. God damn it, Kat, don't do that. No, they're probably my first team at the moment, to be fair. I really need them to do well. Kat's enjoying that one.
I'm so sorry. I just feel like this might be the last episode I'm ever on.
I like that. That's good chat. I'll back that.
All right. Well, we had Tom Dearden from Jared McGiven and Griffin Neem from @Logan James Young. So talk to me about those.
Now, I will say Tommy Dearden, he's been fantastic this year. I think the impact of James Maloney as part of their coaching squad has been really evident just by the attitude that Tommy Dearden's showing. He's been showing it for a few years, to be fair, but I think he's just gone to another level this year. He's obviously taken over the captaincy as well. We all saw that tackle that he made on the weekend. I think it's legitimately one of the best tackles I've ever seen. When you consider who it was on,
that was insane. We can't have a tackle of the year in like round 4, but I feel like we have.
I don't think that's going to get beat. I actually don't know what situation it's going to take to beat that. Like, there's no big hit you could possibly put on that beats running down Selwyn Cobbo when you're probably giving away a 40-metre start going across the field. It's just insanity. So Tommy Dearden, he is going to be a very, very good player for Queensland for a very, very long time, and he's going to ship me to no end consistently for 2 months of the year, every single year around Origin time. I can feel it coming. And I know Cam Munster's been named this weekend, but if Cam Munster was to be ruled out of Origin, I've spoken to a few people and they say, Ezra Mam, I'm picking Tommy Dearden every day of the week that finishes in a Y. And I'll give you the hot tip, Kat. A lot of them finish in a Y.
Brilliant.
Griffin Neem. One of the great names, Griffin Neem. I'll be honest with you, Griffin had an absolute shocker on the weekend. It's probably the worst game he's played in a few years. Outside of that game, he has been tremendous this season. That one's from Logan James Young. Griffin Neem, a fantastic shout. Big Red, I believe he's a Kiwi. He's got a big, big future in our game. Griffin Neem, I really like that shout. Other guys for the Cowboys, it's hard for the Cows because they beat up on 3 lower teams in the first few weeks, got dusted by Brisbane. My guy that I want to mention, though, is Sammy McIntyre, coming off the bench. Been a bit of a journeyman the last few years. I believe he started in the Balmain system, went up to the Titans, couldn't get an opportunity. He's gone up to the North Queensland Cowboys and he's just said to Todd Payten, I'll be a tough prick off the bench. And Toddy's gone, sweet. That's all I need. And he's been very good, Sammy McIntyre. Big, big fan. Lovely fella too. Really good guy. Next team, what do we got?
We've got the Raiders.
The milk.
The Durs. As you've been calling them.
Dirty Durs.
The Dirty Durs. Anyway, just had to do that. So, @Rag.
It was the least intimidating Viking club I've ever seen.
I don't think me and intimidating really have much to do with each other. But anyway, for the Durs, we have Matt Timoko, which has been suggested by @Rags91, and Zach Hosking from @BradXFrame.
Brad_Xframe. I wonder if that's a business.
A framing business.
Maybe. Extreme Frames. Matty Timoko by Rags91. Really like the shout. He's been tremendous. I remember like round 5 or 6 last year, I could just see Matty Timoko. He'd just taken that next step. And I said, you know what? I think this guy's a strike centre. And people sort of went, oh, he's not a strike centre. What are you talking about? Hyperbolic. He then went and toured with the Kiwis at the end of the season. I think he took so much confidence from that tour, being around the likes of Joey Manu and these sort of fellas. He's come back and he's absolutely killing it for the Raiders, and I stand by it. He is a strike centre in our game. And if Matty Timoko was playing for South Sydney, Roosters, Brisbane, and one of the big clubs in this competition, not the poor old Canberra Raiders that are forgotten sometimes down there, I reckon his profile would be sky high because he is an absolute weapon, Matty Timoko. The other one, it wouldn't be the Canberra Raiders without a Timmy Williams lookalike. Zach Hosking, missing this week, got a HAA last week, but honestly, Kat, could a guy have made a better impression in his first few weeks?
Absolutely not. I think it's nothing but positivity from you and Timmy. I mean, Timmy's not going to say anything bad, is he? Because he's just looking in the mirror.
Yes, just talking man in the mirror stuff.
Yeah.
Like that. I told the story a few weeks ago, so I'll tell it very quickly. We had a Raiders function a couple of weeks ago and I was talking to like a recruitment guy and he sort of just said, it's so hard for us to recruit players. No one wants to come and live in Canberra. And he said, we just need to find tough bastards that are country boys. And he straight away went, Zach Hosking is the sort of guy for us and he's going to kill it. That was before the season started. 3 weeks into the season, I'm sitting here going, should Elliot Whitehead, the Raiders captain, be in their 13? Because I think Zach Hosking is simply too good. It's
spicy.
wild. And they addressed him from the moment he walked in the door, Zach Hosking.
Yeah, I mean, it's all good signs for him.
Very good signs.
Sound like I was getting emotional there.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot to take in.
Just the thought of you at lunch with Ricky Stewart.
Yeah, well, he definitely didn't know who I was. Not a big guru guy. Stuart, Ricky. Next team, Kat.
All right, now we have the Titans. And we have just one player suggested for this one, but I think it's because we were inundated with this one name. Is that correct?
Yeah. Look, Titans, let's call it as it is. It's been a tough start to the year. It's been fucking brutal. Okay, let's just not going to put the shoe in. I was looking through some stats today, Kat, that are pretty wild. You know, if the Titans as a franchise competed for top point scorer in the NRL of all the players, they'd rank 18th. So there's 17 players in this competition after 4 weeks that have scored more points than the Gold Coast Titans. They've scored a grand total of 18 points. For those playing at home, Val Holmes is coming first on 44.
Oh, my God.
You might remember one of those 4 games that Val Holmes played this year was probably the worst game of his entire career as well. So pretty wild. Pretty disappointing for the Gold Coast Titans. We're not really seeing that Des Hasler DNA just yet.
Speaking of Hasler, can you imagine the sprays they're getting?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with sprays. You've got to be careful when you use them and because he hasn't got a result yet.
Yeah.
So,
no doors off hinges just yet. But
it's a bad day to be a hinge on the Gold Coast. Good God.
Bad day to be a door.
Shocking day to be a door. Who have we got here?
We've got Jamin Jolliffe.
Now,
Jamin Jolliffe, sorry.
Jaden Jolliffe? Jamin, yes, sorry, I misheard you, my bad. That's from Jimmy_Ash, who's been a long time follower, so shout out to Jimmy. Jolliffe, I am such a huge fan of this guy. I tipped him to you guys as my smoky anytime try scorer the other day. Crossed for the first try. Not only did he score a try, the first one off a kick. Didn't quite see that coming, if I'm honest with you. But yeah, I'm a big fan of this guy. I always have been. I think that because of your Mo Fotuwakers, your Tinos, these sort of guys, he sort of gets underappreciated there on the Gold Coast. But I think by the end of this year, he's going to become a real fan favourite with the GC fans up there. They might not have much to cheer on at the moment, but I think Jolliffe is going to be one guy to watch. Outside of that, unfortunately, there's just not much doing. Not much going on. There is a kid making his debut this weekend, coming off the bench, his name just escapes me, Pahulu, I believe it is, who I thought in the trials was very impressive. I know very keen Titans fans that know their squad inside out don't shut up about him. Josiah Pahulu, who's in jersey 17. Apologies if I got that pronunciation wrong, but I think he's another one that will become pretty relevant pretty soon. I think Cleese Haas has been good as well, been playing on the edge. I haven't been overly convinced with him in previous years, but I think he's been good this year. And this kid coming off the bench is another little CBA to watch. David Fafita, Kat. One to keep an eye on.
Yeah. He's got a good name. He just sounds like he'll be a good footy player.
Fafita?
Yeah.
Yeah, just sounds like it. You never know.
Yeah.
Brisbane Broncos, what do we got?
We've got Dean Mariner, who has been suggested by @RobCreeds with a K, and your boy. Now, he loves this guy. I'll keep it.
We'll get to him in a minute.
We'll get to him in a minute. But why don't you start with Dean Mariner and then we'll say who the next.
We'll lead into it. We'll come off the back fence. Dean Mariner, who was part of our CBA class of 2024. His footwork is off the charts. It is unbelievable. The guy looks like he's floating. I think he's got clouds for boots, Kat. The way that he moves is like very few guys I've seen before. He is such a talented player. You heard the cheer from the crowd when Corey Oates ran on the field the other night. That's how popular Corey Oates is there. And Dean Mariner's keeping him not only out of this team, I don't think Corey Oates is even a sniff to get back into it on the wing at the moment because him and Jesse Arthurs are going so good. Jesse Arthurs is another one that deserves a shout here. But I agree, Dean Mariner has been brilliant. Scored a great try 2 weekends ago maybe where he chipped over the top. Oh, it was against you guys, wasn't it? It was against South?
Yeah, cheers for that. Yeah.
Cheers for that, yeah. Chipped over the top, regathered. I think he scored another try in that game. He's been tremendous, Dean Mariner, so a very good one. I'm going to take it away here, Kat. Leave it with me.
Do it.
This one comes from Cooper Finnegan. Finnegan, Finnigan, 4 N's in his last name, very rare. Paddy Carrigan is his suggestion. I absolutely love this. I think he hit the start to his season between him, Isaiah Yeo and Victor Radley. I don't know who started the season better. These three have been going great guns as lock forwards. Ken Murray's had a very good start to the season as well, to be fair. But Pat Carrigan, he is just setting a new standard for himself, a new wild standard every single time he steps on a field. He is an absolute freak, Paddy Carrigan. said it before, say it again. Cat just put her elbow through the wall again. I think he's going to go down as one of the best Maroons we have ever seen. Love this shout. I'm glad to see Cat guys that are just incredibly consistent getting a feature, because sometimes we overlook these guys.
No, I think Paddy Carrigan's one of those guys. And the more we see of it this season, the more you'll preach about it and hopefully people kind of catch on. But I just want to say that you missed an opportunity there with Cooper. Finnegan loves Paddy Carrigan. It's so poetically, flow. It's perfect.
Yeah, I've slept on that one.
You slept on that. Anyway, let's move on to the Panthers because at Nathan Sinclair 31 has said a player that I think a lot of people would agree is one of those guys. Do you want to?
Yeah, Isaac Tungo, who I've been a big fan of for a long time. I remember Matty Burton won Dally M Centre of the Year, then he left. And everyone sort of went, what are the Panthers going to do? And I said, relax, they're going to be fine. They've got this kid, Isaac Tungo, who is an absolute fucking weapon. Since then, he's played 55 first-grade games. He's won a comp at left centre. He's won a comp at right centre. He scored about 30 tries. He had a couple of games this year. Cat Ream was marked up against, back rowers because there was injuries in the opposition, and people pretended like he was only a good player when there was a mismatch in defence. Fucking please. One of the shittest takes of all time. Shout out to Twitter. Isaac Tungo is an absolute weapon. The Penrith Panthers have re-signed him long term. There's a lot of guys they've let go, a lot of stars. There's a reason why they've kept him. The boy can play, and he will be a little smoky for Origin this year. I don't think he gets picked, assuming that Turbo's available if you don't break his legs again, assuming that Trell Mitt is available, Stephen Crichton, Josh Adokar, Brian Toe, all these guys, it'll make it hard. But I reckon if there's a couple of injuries, Isaac Tungo could become relevant. I think the back end of his career, I think he'll actually end up in the back row as well eventually. Big body, very mobile, hard to handle. Who's our next one?
Our next one is from Aaron Bugeja, spelt Bugeja. I believe that's a Maltese name. And he has said Lindsay Smith.
Shout out to AA Ron. Good shout there. Lindsay Smith. Came into the game last year sort of as a permanent part of that Panthers side, was very good. Got to the back end of the season. I actually thought in finals he was pretty average. I thought he made a lot of mistakes, came with a lot of errors that had me really worried if he was going to be an automatic to walk back into this side. Egg all over my face. He has killed it this year. He's done very well. The Fisher-Harris injury occurred. They needed guys to step up. You obviously had Liam Henry and these guys, but I think Lindsay Smith's been the big one. Stepped into that starting role and he hasn't tried to overplay his hand. He hasn't tried to offload or ball play or do anything crazy. He's just played tough footy, which is all Ivan Cleary would have asked him, and he's done a tremendous job. So shout out to Lindsay Smith. A very, very good shout there. The other one that I want to mention, who I think has started this season really well and was great last year, Mitch Kenny. He has been fantastic. Liam Henry, my boys, another one we could mention. Take me to the West Tigers, Kathmandu.
Well, you'll love this one because I think you will agree completely. But this one is from Junior Glover, Appy Coruscant.
Yeah, shout out to Junior Glover, also been a long time follower, listener, all of the above. Shout out to my brother Josh, who wasn't sure how to spell Coruscant, so just spelled K-O-R and hoped that we'd fill in the blanks.
And we did.
Slacking on the job.
Forgivable.
We'll
Unpaid work.
We'll let it slide. Bit of slave labour for your Tuesday night. Abby, wow. Honestly, what a start to the season. He has just been tremendous. Not many guys leave the Panthers and get better. There's an argument that Appy has. He is the heart and soul of the West Tigers, who have impressed a lot of people this year. The highlight of the year for me, Kat, was last week, where he absolutely killed it. I think he scored a try, set up two, was everywhere. Came off in about the 60th minute. I thought, it's a bit odd. Later find out he had gastro.
I know. I saw a post the other day just saying that there are a few times throughout the history of rugby league, let's say, where players have performed really well when they're sick.
Yeah.
You see them on the bench, clearly sweating because of a fever, not because of the game. But I think it was one of those ones where people, if you didn't know Appy was sick, you wouldn't have known. He showed up and he did what he needed to do.
I think too, our game is full of really tough moments. Sam Burgess broke his face in a grand final once. Johnny Sattler, Jack Bird, broken elbow, played a grand final. A lot of key moments like that. Mate, playing with gastro, it won't get the respect it deserves, but my God.
I don't want to think about it.
I would rather not think about it. Think about how tired, how dehydrated you are. And that's the least of your worries at the end of the day.
You're not even worrying about the dehydration at that point.
And not only does Appy play first grade, he absolutely dominates. Sensational stuff from Appy. Who's our other one? Oh,
Another one that I think this is a fantastic note to end the episode on.
Yeah.
But Lockie Galvin, this was suggested by @Connor James Hudson. Now, where do you even begin with Galvin?
yeah, it's been very impressive, hasn't it? Honestly, to put it in the most simple way I possibly can, kids his age shouldn't be doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
He just shouldn't be able to do it. The other day we spoke about it in the review and everything. For him to get sin binned, and I honestly can't, and I wouldn't have blamed him for it, but as he walked off the field to get sin binned, I thought he was going to cry. That's how much emotion was on his face.
Yeah.
I felt awful for him. And I actually sat back in that moment and thought, geez, I cannot wait to see what this kid does when he gets back on the field. If this game is still in the balance, and my God, he did not disappoint. I've said it on a number of occasions. He reminds me so much of Michael Morgan. Michael Morgan, relatively well known for coming up with ice in the veins plays, and he came up with a huge one there, Galvin. Imagine being an 18-year-old, Easter Monday, big game, game number 3 for him because they had the bye, game number 3. Sorry, it's game number 2 actually, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's game 3.
He's only 3 games into his professional career.
And he gets sin binned in an important game like that in front of a big crowd. And, his team's, in that game, he feels like he's lost it for them. Then he comes back and produces a huge play like that. And by the way, he's not playing schmucks. Parramatta are in a grand final 18 months ago.
No. Para put up a fight. That wasn't an easy game for them.
It was. I was very, very impressed with Galvin. I've been impressed with him all season so far. Even if you want to have a look from a Supercoach point of view, the kid came up with 1 attacking start. He got sin bin. That's -8. He missed 10 minutes on the field. He scored 66 points.
Whoa, that's actually.
You give him the 8
lot
points
more than
back
I
for
thought.
being sin binned plus the penalty. All of a sudden, you're on 76.
Yeah.
At that rate, he's scoring 76 in 70 minutes. In that extra 10 minutes, he could have been on the field. You're probably looking at an 85-point Supercoach score with 1 decent attacking play.
It's so good.
Wild.
And also, I think it's a shame that the sin bin has now it now means he doesn't qualify for Rookie of the Year.
I hate this. I absolutely hate this. Rookie of the Year isn't a best and fairest award. It's Rookie of the Year. I don't care. I couldn't give any less shits if you get suspended. That doesn't matter to me in the slightest. I am so disappointed for Lockie. And, I understand, because the Dally M is called the best and fairest, if you get suspended, I can understand you're not getting it because of the fairest element. I still disagree with it, but I can understand it. Rookie of the Year? Getting suspended because you're 80 kilos dripping wet, just doing your absolute best to make tackles, and that accidentally happens. I hate that.
Yeah, I think context is so important too. Yes, it was a hip drop. That's a fact.
Yeah.
It's fine. But we also know how those tackles come about. It's usually fatigue, laziness, whatever. That's how easy it is to make a mistake like that. I think context is so important when they make a decision as to what can nullify someone from a Rookie of the Year award.
And, without just assuming he's going to win it, he would be my absolute red hot favourite right now. It's also just going to hurt the legacy of whoever does win it, because it'll always be, probably if it plays out the way I'm expecting to, that's the Rookie of the Year that Lockie should have won, but this guy won it because he got that hip drop.
Yeah, which sucks for the guy that won as well.
Yeah, it sucks for everyone. It's such a stupid rule, and I wish the NRL would just reverse that right now. No one's going to get upset about that. No one in their right mind is going to be upset because the Rookie of the Year can get suspended and still win that award.
Yeah.
If he misses out on a Dally M medal because of this and it's best and fairest, I can understand the argument. But Dally M Rookie of the Year, that's just ridiculous.
No, I am with you on that one.
Cracking app. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was great.
We're going to have the other 8 teams next week, so stay tuned to that. Once again, guys, brought to you by Neds. Go and check out the app. You can follow the Rugby League Guru profile on there. You can also follow the Rugby League Guru group and follow along with all of my bets and whatnot. You can copy them, you can change them, you can add, you can minus, do whatever you'd like to do on the Neds app there. Prices, they are obviously subject to change. Make sure you go and download the Neds app.
You win some, you lose more. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website